Hey guys, in today's video we're going to be making some meatless ground beef, and it's based off of our Depression era sausage recipe. And this is kind of a video response to someone named Heber Shenanigans, who left a comment asking how we make vegetarian ground beef. So that's what we're going to be doing today. Follow along. If you visit our webpage and you look up our Depression era sausage patty recipe, you'll see down in the notes that you can make meatballs, hamburgers, chicken nuggets or chicken patties, fish sticks, but I don't really mention anything about ground meat. So that was a great question to ask, and what I'm going to be doing is a basic recipe for that. We'll be adding it to the web page, and I'll also have it down in our description, a link down in our description. I'll also make sure to link the original video, so if you haven't watched that yet, you can follow along. But it's a great recipe. It was part of our pantry clean out challenge, I think for last year, and it has 1 cup of quick oats, 1 egg, a tablespoon of olive oil, and 1/4 cup of water, and that's it. That's the base. Once you make the base, then you can season it however you want. Use your imagination. Today we're going to be using garlic, onion, salt, and black pepper. So follow along, and I'll start mixing all that together in a bowl. Okay, for the base of the recipe, we're going to add 1 cup of quick oats. I'll add 1 egg. I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of oil. I'm using a extra virgin olive oil, but you can use any kind of vegetable oil. And because of this egg, this is a vegetarian recipe, not a vegan recipe. I've had people confused about that in the past. I'm not vegan, I'm a vegetarian, which means I eat eggs and drink milk. Okay, we're going to add 1 teaspoon of onion flakes. And I know I said 1, but I'm using a 1/2 teaspoon measurer. So 1 teaspoon of onion flakes. I'm going to add 1/2 teaspoon of onion, 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Then I'm going to add 1/4 cup of water. It doesn't matter if it's warm or cold. And I'm going to mix this all up. This is our base for the recipe, and I know it doesn't look like much right now, and I said that in the other video, but it all comes together. Trust me, I've been doing this for a while, and it's an awesome recipe because it's so easy to change how you season it and how you're able to use it. So once I get this mixed up, I'll show you the next step. Now that I have it all mixed up, I'm just going to throw a shower cap on the top of my bowl here. Just cover it just to keep the moisture in. I'm going to stick it in the fridge, and I'm going to let it sit there for at least 2 hours. If you do the recipe at night, just leave it in the fridge overnight and you can finish up in the morning. And then we'll move on to the next step. Well, our oatmeal mix has had a chance to rest. It actually went for about 3 hours. So what I'm going to do is just take this and put it onto a work surface. Normally, if we were going to make sausages or meatballs, we would shape this. However, your kind of final goal would be either in a patty or in a meatball. I'm just going to make this into one big patty, because once we're finished with it, I'm going to be breaking it all up into crumbles, sort of like ground meat, to be used for this afternoon, to be used for tacos. Let me just shape this so it'll fit into my pot. And then what I'm going to do is take a pot. I'm going to put 2 cups of water in it. And then I'm going to flavor the water. Now normally I would use either a gravy packet or a bouillon. Today I'm going to use Worcestershire sauce and some soy sauce. I'm going to do 1 tablespoon of each, or thereabouts. A little bit of soy sauce. And I'm just going to mix this up. And this is to flavor the water, because our next step is to put our patty here into the water and boil it for 20 minutes. I'm going to get this on the stove and get it hot. Once this reaches a boil, we'll go ahead and put this big patty in there and we'll let it cook for 20 minutes. And then when that's done, I'll show you the next step. Okay, now that our water, Worcestershire, and soy mix is boiling, I'm just going to take that big patty we made, drop it right in here, and then I'm going to throw a cover on it and we're going to let it sit for 20 minutes, boil for 20 minutes. When that's up, I'll show you what it looks like. It's going to inflate quite a bit. It's not going to double in size, but it will expand quite a bit. When that's done, we'll move on to the last step. 20 minutes is up, and it looks pretty good. I'm going to take this off the heat, and I'll put the patty in a bowl where we can break it up. Okay, now that I've got it out and put it in this bowl, I let it cool down just a little bit because I'm going to break this up with my hands. And it's still kind of hot, but it's cool enough for me to work with. But you can see kind of what this texture looks like. I'm going to break this up. And then at this point, if you want to save it for your use later, you can freeze it. You can break this up and freeze it, or if you're going to use it right away like I am, you can just break this up and then we'll be moving it into an oiled pan and I'm going to brown it up. I'll be browning it up with our taco seasoning, and you can do it however you want at that point. And if you want to know how we make our taco seasoning, go ahead and leave that down in the comments. We make all of our own season mixes. So I know Marilyn had done a video about our everything bagel seasoning mix. But yeah, if you want to know how we do our taco seasoning mix or our Italian mix, just leave a comment down below and I'll show you how we do that. So let me finish breaking this up and we'll move it over to the frying pan. Okay, I'm just gonna drop this in the pan so we can start browning it up. I just have a little bit of olive oil in the base of the pan. And I'm going to use this spatula to kind of break it up a little bit more, some of the larger chunks. Now for anyone who's not a vegetarian, this is not going to taste like meat. I know a lot of people who try vegetarian cuisine and think that they're getting a substitute that tastes just like the real thing. It doesn't. All this is a ingredient substitution. So if I want to make a recipe, for instance, I want to make my mother's lasagna that has a layer of ground beef in it, this would be my substitute for that layer. And mixed with all the other ingredients, you don't really lose the flavor of that missing ingredient. You don't really miss out that it doesn't have ground beef in it. But if you were to eat this on its own, it's not going to taste like steak. Okay, I'm going to let this brown up a little bit more, and then I'm going to add our taco seasoning. Okay, I'm going to add my taco seasoning, and just do that however you normally would. I usually put about 2 tablespoons of our taco mix in, and I'll add a little bit of water. It may not be real beef, but I'll tell you, this smells amazing at this point. Let me finish cooking this up. I'll show you what the finished product looks like. And then I'm gonna make myself a quickie little taco. And we'll give it a shot. Okay, so this is our finished product. It's all ready to go into my taco, so let me get that all taken care of. And you can watch how horribly I roll a soft shell tortilla. Okay, I'm just gonna make a down and dirty taco. I don't have any lettuce or tomato. We're coming out of our January pantry clean, no spend January. So lettuce and tomato are long gone, and until February we're not going to be picking any up, and we're not going to be growing any until well into spring. So throw a little of this taco meat on here, a little bit of cheddar cheese, and whoops, a little taco sauce. Get this thing rolled up. You can tell I've never worked at a Taco Bell or any of those places. I can't really roll these things to save my life. Tastes good. Tastes good to me. Now, I haven't had ground beef in over 35 years, but for anybody who's a vegetarian, we purchase sometimes Morningstar Farms, Boca, Gardein, and different manufacturers who make either soy or bean protein or pea protein meat substitutes. And this tastes just as good as any of those. It's not as convenient as going to the store and picking it up, but you know, 1 cup of quick oats, an egg, some water, and an hour of your time, and you can whip up the equivalent of what would be 1 pound. So what we just made, if you have a recipe that requires 1 pound of ground meat, that's what we just made. So go ahead, give it a shot. Play around with the seasonings, play around with the boil mix, whatever you're putting in there to boil it, because that does change the flavor. The whole point of that stage is to swell the oat, so it's not like you're eating oatmeal. It doesn't have that woody, chewy kind of consistency. It's actually very good, especially as a burrito. But anyway, give it a shot. See what you think. I'm going to be updating our Depression era sausage patty recipe on our webpage. And if you haven't been to the webpage, go check it out. All the recipes, everything's ad-free, so you don't have to worry about reading through 100 ads to get to any of our recipes. They're all free to download. They're all free to print. And if you want to see any other vegetarian type meat substitute videos, just let us know down in the comments. And until the next video, I'll see you later.